Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And in national security news here in the United States, we have to talk about surveillance because, quite frankly, anybody with a little bit of money can track U.S. soldiers. Obviously, this isn't a good look for intelligence agencies, but it really underscores just how deeply all of us, not just U.S. Military personnel, are being data mined. So here's what's going on. There's a really good, interesting, and good write-up by Dhruv Mehrotra and Del Cameron of Wired. And here's what they found. A joint investigation that involved Wired and then Bayer Reicher Rundfunk, or BR, out of Germany, as well as Netzpolitik.org, also out of Germany, revealed that U.S. companies legally collecting digital advertising data are also providing essentially the world a cheap and reliable way to track the movement of military and intelligence personnel, of essentially U.S. soldiers and U.S. intel operatives. And we're talking about from their homes, their children's schools, hardened aircraft shelters within air bases where nuclear weapons are essentially, believed to have been stored or are stored. This is a huge thing. Now, this collaborative analysis was of billions of location coordinates, and it was obtained from a U.S.-based data broker that provides essentially for what they exactly said, extraordinary insight in the daily routines of U.S. server members. The findings also provide a very clear example of the significant risks of the unregulated sale of mobile location data, and essentially that really impacts the integrity of the U.S. military as well as the safety of service members and their families overseas. And so Wired and those other groups tracked hundreds of thousands of signals from devices inside sensitive U.S. installations in Germany. If you recall, post-World War II and during the Cold War, the United States had a major military presence as essentially a bulwark against the Soviet Union, and quite frankly, we're still there. And so by virtue of that, we have U.S. personnel all over Germany, as well as other European countries as well. So what we're talking about here also basically includes scores of devices within suspected NSA monitoring or signals analysis facilities, more than 1,000 of devices at a sprawling U.S. compound where Ukrainian troops, were being trained in 2023, and nearly 2,000 others at an Air Force base that has crucially supported U.S. drone operations. So, a device likely tied to an NSA or intelligence employee broadcast coordinates from inside a windowless building with a metal exterior. These are known as tin cans, which are reportedly used by NSA surveillance, according to the documents that were leaked by Edward Snowden back in the day. Now, another device transmitted signals from within restricted weapons testing facilities, revealing that essentially its movements across this high security zone was being used for tank maneuvers and live munition drills. And there's more, because Wired, etc., traced these devices from barracks to work buildings to Italian restaurants, Aldi grocery stores. If you didn't know, Aldi is a German brand, not to mention bars or pubs. As many as 4 devices that were regularly pinged from Ramstein Air Force Base were later tracked to nearby brothels, including one multi-story facility called Sex World, because, well, when in Germany, there you go. Now, experts caution, for obvious reasons, that foreign governments could use this data to identify individuals with access to sensitive areas. Terrorists or criminals could decipher when new U.S. nuclear weapons are least guarded. Spies or other, threat actors could leverage embarrassing information to blackmail, and on and on. God forbid you're the general at Sex World when your cell phone is being pinged. But this really underscores the problem that not just the U.S. military have, but we have as well. We are walking seas of sensors. And if you are watching or listening to this, there's a really good chance you're sitting on a mobile device while you're doing that, which means as you're listening to me on YouTube or SoundCloud or LinkedIn or Facebook or Blue Sky or any one of the other social media platforms that I use, odds are your location data is being tracked and is potentially being sold. And if you are in some kind of sensitive job, if that location data is basically being sold to a nefarious group, a terrorist or whatever, they start to track your habits. And we are creatures of habit. In fact, there was an AI predictive model, I want to say about 5-10 years ago or so, that was being put together. I believe it was by Raytheon, that said if they had something like 10 to 20 data points on you, they could predict where you're going to be in 6 months, because we're creatures of habit. Like, let's say I wake up and the GPS in my phone tracks me from one side of the house to the bedroom to the other side of the house, down the stairs to my office where I'm at right now. Or maybe I'm a regular person that goes to like the local supermarket and back every day. Well, it's going to understand that. And then predictively, well, Nick tends to go at 3 p.m. to the supermarket, whatever it is. And now they know, I don't know, where to catch me. So this is what we're talking about here, and U.S. personnel is no different. Now, if you're looking at other types of technologies that we've leveraged in the past, that we've banned basically to protect facilities like DJI drones, we really don't have that same luxury here with mobile devices, because you're going to have an iPhone, you're going to have an Android, and while we are cutting out, let's say, the use of Chinese-made mobile devices like Huawei or ZTE, your Samsung or your Apple iPhone is a sea of sensors as well, because Apple and Samsung and all the apps on your phones are going to track you and then sell this data. And so the only way really to deal with this would be to order and force military personnel to leave their phones at home when they're on duty. But then that opens up another can of worms, because a lot of military personnel are family members, right? They've got kids in school, they've got other duties outside of it, and hey, like when you're done on the base, go to the supermarket and pick something up. Don't stop at Sex World on your way home. So these are the things that are going to be a real challenge. And quite frankly, it's not just U.S. personnel and U.S. military. Europeans have this issue too, even with GDPR. All of those fines and all of those issuance of orders are always retroactive, meaning the data brokers can get all of this, and then eventually they're caught, and they either going to pay the fine and simply move on with their lives like Facebook does. They have an operating budget for this, or they can set up shop somewhere else. So this is a major problem that we have, and there's no easy way to really fix this unless we actually get regulation that's basically starts ordering these companies to give us the ability to actually have the ability to stop being tracked. And quite frankly, I don't think that's going to happen. And, we've got a new incoming administration. We've got a very contentious, election. We have a very contentious political climate right now. And so I just don't see both sides coming together unanimously and saying, yeah, we're going to vote for total privacy, not to mention all the lobbyists from the data brokers and the Facebooks of the world trying to water down every bill. So we're stuck. And I don't know what the answer is. And there's a lot more in that Wired article. I highly recommend you go read it. But here we are, and I guess I'm stuck in the middle with you. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, all of which are going to be probably selling our data points, mine included. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. But quite frankly, we're losing that war, and it kind of sucks. Take care.